Hey folks, this is Kalani. I'm going to be leveling weaponsmithing. So, I already have several weaponsmiths, but I feel I kind of want this on my human warrior Rexia Dragonheart rather. I'd like weaponsmithing on her. For one reason, so I have pretty much every crafting that I'd ever want any time on my warrior, because why not? And to actually increase the amount of weaponsmiths that I have. Some of the recipes that we're going to get with Ascended Crafting are going to be daily based, which may not be based per character. It's quite possible that it's account based, but having the other character as a weaponsmith may give me an extra cooldown. You never know, we don't know until we see this thing, so there's always potential there. And also, basically, yeah, which may also be the case for Artificing and Huntsman. It's like they may not share. So if you have a Weaponsmith, an Artificer, and a Huntsman, you might get 3 times the cooldowns? I don't know. It might be account bound, it might not. Either way, they're my reasons. So, why I'm making a video of this is because I actually had a few people asking me how they level weaponsmithing. And I know there are a few guides out there which may not be entirely obvious, or you know, it may not be completely obvious to some folk how to level their crafting. So the basis of leveling, essentially, is going to be creating things that give experience. Now, you can sort by things which will give you experience. As you can see, right now this only filters out red. Red is something you cannot make. Orange will grant you the most experience, and then that goes down to yellow, green, I think blue, kind of greyish, and then white. When it gets to white, or rather basically when it goes greyed out, I believe, you won't get experience for it anymore. But you don't actually want to make anything lower than yellow, and if possible, nothing lower than orange. You always want to be making things that are orange to get the most experience. So, there are 2 ways of doing this. One is by gathering all the raw materials and going through the refinement process. So you'd refine your ores into ingots and your woods into planks and then into dowels. Then you would make your crafting components, you would make your inscriptions, and then you'd put them together in the discovery. Now, there are actually cheaper ways of doing this. For example, you can buy the materials pre-made, but then you have to buy more of them to get to the level. So I'll throw this out there because this is actually usually the cheapest way of doing it, is to buy the materials and then kind of put them together yourself, but kind of make more. It can be a lot cheaper, but it all depends on the current price of the market. The best way to do this is to go get yourself a shopping list. The best way to do this is to go look at some of the live updated guides, such as guildwars2crafts.net, that's guildwars2crafts.net. I'll put that in the description below, hopefully. And basically it'll give you a shopping list, it'll give you a guide through the entire of weaponsmithing. The annoying thing about it is that it can change, which is so frustrating when you basically go through the shopping list and then the guide itself has changed to suit a different shopping list. So I'd recommend just going for the shopping list and making things that are orange. The second thing is, or rather third, whatever, the next thing on the list is a crafting booster. Now, a crafting booster will directly impact the amount of materials you require to level your crafting. Obviously, with a crafting booster, you're going to get to the same level with less materials. Now, if you're going to do it this way, and basically making them pre-made, you're going to need 27 to get to 25. So you need 27 to get 25 points, as long as they are basically orange or the highest discovery that you can get. So you need 27 to get 25 points, usually without a crafting booster. The other thing is Trading Post Expresses. If you do need anything and you're short of it, Trading Post Express just means you don't have to move. So that's also very useful. I'm going to go ahead and use my crafting booster and start up. We'll start by going to 25. Remember that any materials that you do not use is obviously materials which you can sell at the end, which is basically reducing the cost as how much it cost you to get to 400, which is where we're going with this video. So you can see we're straight up to over 50. We'll make some green daggers. and that'll take us all the way up to 75. Very, very easy indeed. You want to be somewhat close to a vendor, so you can clear out your inventory as it fills up with the things that you are making. Now, in production you can see we've got some of them greyed out now. These won't give experience, and we're actually going to do a bit of refining because this is currently the cheapest way to do things. Now we want to take refining up to at least, let's give ourselves 150. You can see it going through all the very nice colours all the way down to white and eventually greys out. So we've got a few other things that we can play with, one of which is dust and ingots will make sharpening stones. The other thing we can play around with is slivers and basically your rare materials such as destroyer crystal, molten, all that good stuff. We can make runes with that, and we'll actually be doing that a little bit later. So we'll need to make a few bits and pieces. We need to get ourselves up to 125. Now, due to the crafting booster, we actually don't get any experience for this next part, but we only need around 20. So I'm going to have to make some shields, because they're one of the best things to make. They only require 4 bars for the entire thing. And I'll make 20 of those. Now we're at 100, obviously, so we're on the second stage of inscriptions. Now you'll notice as you go through the inscriptions that one of the stages starts at the same time as the refinement. So the refinement for iron started at 75, which means we had 1 round of inscriptions. Here we go. All these soft inscriptions here, they were the first round, and they'll go from 75 to 100. The next round will go from 100 to 125, and then we'll get green inscriptions after that, which will take us from 125 to the next refinement period. Now, you get a new refinement period, and therefore a new material every 75, until you get to 300, and then you don't get a new one for the 100 points, obviously, until 400. So I believe I've got some soft inscriptions. We'll make use of those. Nice and neatly to 125. And you can see we started on the green recipes. Now to make the green recipes you need iron or metal plated dowels, and these are down in refinement. You'll need some softwood planks. Now take note of this because you need the planks and not the dowels. So if you had softwood dowels or basically you can't metal plate a dowel, if that makes sense. You have to metal plate a plank to make a metal plated dowel, so don't waste all of your materials if you're refining. Don't waste all of your wood on your dowels, because you'll need it later for metal plated dowels. Now the other choices that we have, as I mentioned before, are actually sigils and runes. So I've got enough materials here to make a decent amount of sigils, and these are major sigils of sanctuary. So if you've got the materials, it's definitely worth doing sigils, because you can see the amount of experience they give is kind of ludicrous. And one more, and that throws us straight into the next refinement period. So you can go through with materials and just refine them all the time, or you can kind of use some of these more rarer materials. Some of them do cost quite a bit more comparatively, but when you get to the point where you're basically messing around with a lot of materials anyway, it kind of offsets that, because you only need the one sliver or the one fragment, whereas you'd need a ton of iron, a ton of crafting materials is the main source of pain there, actually. So go ahead and make up 30 of these. Now you can see we're into steel, which does actually use iron still, so you'll need a good chunk of iron to get through this. And straight from the get-go, we are going to be making more sigils, if we have enough materials. So we can make one of those as well. Now, for sigils I actually miss more fragments, I believe, which is a little annoying. I thought I had plenty of fragments. Where are we? 165. No? Okay, that's fine. So, instead of that, we'll go ahead and make some more sharpening stones. Only a few. These do use a lot of steel. And we'll have a look at inscriptions. We need some wood for dowels. Let's make 5 dowels. And with that we can make inscriptions. Now I'm gonna hint on this first. You can get a lot more bonus experience if you discover different things. So we'll make 5 inscriptions of a nice variety. Now what we'll do is we'll make 2 daggers, which obviously require a hilt and a blade. We'll make a mace head, sorry, a hammer head. We need more wood. We need 2 to make our large seasoned haft. And we can make a shield. So what we're going to be looking at is making a pillaged dagger. Now, if I went and made the pillaged dagger again, it would not give me as much experience as discovering a new pillaged recipe. So we'll create a pillaged hammer, and then we'll discover a ravaged dagger, which again, because it's a different dagger than what I've already discovered, will give me more experience. And then for the last one, we'll just go ahead and make a vigorous shield. Now that's put us over 175, so we can happily continue with the rest. I was supposed to pick up some more fragments, but that's okay. So we'll go ahead and pick up some molten fragments from the trading post. As I say, some of them can be rather expensive, but we'll only need a few of them. And we'll go ahead and put down... Let's move over to the vendor first, because we're going to be needing that very soon. Put down a trading post. Pick up the shards, and back to our crafting. We're missing steel as well. Tell ya, it always pays off to have surplus material. So we need another 5 maybe. We didn't use all of those, did we? Oh, cool. Although I might need another one. One more. This is where a changing shopping list can aggravate you a little bit, but it's fine. Adapt and move on. We're cool, we're cool. 200, we can happily move on to another sigil. Or, no, yeah, another sigil is probably cheaper. It's all about trying to balance basically costs. So what I actually want is shards. I can't use crystal shards just yet. You see, that's another thing. Some of these are usable earlier than others, and some of them aren't used at all in weaponsmithing. For example, the charge shard is not used in weaponsmithing. So while I have plenty of crystal shards, I can't actually use them yet. I can't use them until 225. Whereas onyx shards, I can use at 200, and that's basically what I'll be using for the next one. Let's buy up 9 of those. Now, as I say, you can save a lot of money by doing this kind of in a longer roundabout way. You can go through all of your... we need more steel. You can go through all of your refinements into making your weapons. It can shave off maybe a few gold. Sometimes it can actually be more expensive. I think we're going to need a few more onyx shards. I also need to pay attention to recipes. So we'll buy up another 7 of those. Nope, we want to have materials and gain experience. Needed to use all of them. That's annoying. But right now we can happily go into crystal shards, which is very nice indeed. But we've got some more refining to do. So let's make ourselves some dark steel. Now the beautiful thing about these is as soon as you get onto mithril, you're laughing. It's still yellow. We'll make another 15. We'll probably end up using it, so it's fine. Make a few daggers. Now obviously you gain experience while crafting as well, so if you're not yet level 80, this is a very nice way to get yourself some experience. Let's make some shields. Now a nice way to line them up is to make enough weapon kind of sets so that the amount of inscriptions that you're going to make, so if you have 3 inscriptions, 3 different inscriptions you're able to make, it's a good idea to have the same amount of materials, so I could make 3 shields, which is a nice way to do it. Now you can either do it variety, or you can use more materials and do it basically by using 1 recipe, 1 weapon type, and just spamming it. But obviously you'll end up using more materials that way, so it is more costly. We need... no, I'll make a fragment. My inventory is full. The bane of every crafter. So we'll go ahead and flog all of these lovely little bronze daggers. And with us now at 250, we can play about with some other inscriptions. Now, we don't have a great deal of materials to work with. We've got a lot of sharp claws, so we can make... It's about judging how many you need versus what you can get away with not spending. So we'll make 2 of those, we'll make 2 Zerkers as well, we'll make the 1 Clerics and another Explorers. So we can make a dagger of each. Let's use up all these inscriptions first. Then we can make the variety. I think that was an old inscription. Now remember, our goal is to get to 275, which we should just about get. Make another dark steel shield, 275. So from here it starts to get a little bit expensive. Now where's my inscriptions gone? We need some good old dark steel plated dowels. So down in refinement, I wonder, do I have any... We can now use Molten Shards, so that's an idea. Just to save on making greens. Yeah, let's buy up some Molten Shards. What's the recipe? 1 Molten Shard. 2 Molten Shards. So 2 Molten Shards to get 25 points. We'll probably need to make about 6 or 7 sigils. We'll go for 7 sigils. Remember that you can obviously save a lot more money by putting in buy orders as well, but that will obviously take a little bit longer. I basically don't really care about money while I'm doing this. I want the fastest result. Basically the fastest result. I don't really care how much it's going to cost me, because at the end of the day I can happily make anything I spend back. But if money is a little tight for you, if gold's not necessarily all there, shall we say, it might be easier just to go through this slower, so you can happily... Ooh, 16. Happily save yourself as much gold as possible. Obviously, if you want to save the most gold, you can go out and farm all these materials yourself. In fact, I had a great majority of the materials here. The only things that I've had to buy are fragments. So pretty much anything which you've seen me buy in this video, they're the only things I didn't have already for this weaponsmithing. So if you do have a nice collection of materials, then you can, you don't necessarily need to spend any gold. You might just want to use everything which you've already accrued. So let's go ahead. We need to get ourselves to 325. Now to do that, let's see. Let's make 3 daggers. And 4 shields. That way I can make... I could actually just do this with 1 inscription and show you that. For an inscription we'll need... What did I make? I made 7, right? So 7 planks for 7 dowels. I'm not going to need all of this because I've obviously got a crafting booster on, but that's fine. So we should be able to make an inscription. Yes. I'm just going to make... I don't think I'll actually need more than 2. We'll go 3. Did I just create them all? Oh well, that's fine. So what you can do is you can make the same one and then just make them repeatedly. So you can see it gives me less experience than if I was going to discover other recipes. But at the end of the day, if you get there and you're happy with the amount of gold which you spent, it doesn't really make a huge difference. So from here I can happily use cores which I've managed to stockpile. So we'll use our crystal cores first. Craft them one at a time because I don't really want to use these if I can avoid it. And onyx core. Ooh, that's going to be a bit low actually because that's weaponsmithing 300. Do I have anything else to work with? That's too low as well. Brilliant. Okay, I'll buy some more crystal cores. It's a shame, I've got so many other cores, they're just not usable. It's a good job these are fairly cheap, which I'll buy up for. Now, I'll buy up another 8. That gives me some excess. I like to have materials excess. This guy still hasn't spawned. He's still an empty space. Production, have materials and gain experience. Let's make another sigil and another sigil. Perfect. Now we should be able to use destroyer, I believe. I'm gonna have to buy some more of these as well. But that's fine. That's fine. We're gonna need another. I think it's another 3. I don't care about destroyer cores, so we'll go to our invisible black lion specialist. Oh, I might get there with 2. Brilliant. Okay, so 375. Now remember, once again, you could have used mithril and obviously continued with inscriptions and making weapons, but if you don't have to, I don't see a great reason to. And the final one, I should be able to use molten, which I've got plenty of. So 381, 385, 389, 392, 395, 398 and 400. So, as easy as that. You saw me spend, I think, another... Whoops. Excuse me, 6, 7 gold? Yeah, something like that. So that's the only cost that I had here. Obviously I had everything already. Go ahead and sell these. Bear in mind, anything that you do make, you can resell. For example, inscriptions rather sell relatively well on the trading post. You can Mystic Forge any major sigils, or any sigils in... yeah, just any sigils really. You'll be able to get rid of those. I don't recommend trying to sell a great deal of anything else, and I'll probably just flog most of this. But bear in mind that literally anything you make, because everything's going to be blue or green, can be salvaged after the patch, to give you a chance at the luck. Let's be honest, the luck dust to give you a count-wide magic find. I'm honestly not too bothered about that right now. Rather, I've got plenty of champion bags. They'll give me plenty of greens. I'll be pretty much overwhelmed with those. But I'll go ahead and forge the rest of these away. I'll see if these sell on the trading post for anything. 2, that's more than I'll get at the vendor. Obviously, if you're patient, you can get more. And yeah, there we go. Another 7 gold drained, but Master Weaponsmith at 400, so I can happily use my warrior tomorrow to use, obviously, for the inevitable crafting 400 to 500 leveling guide. So that's a bit of a long video, but just in case anyone wants more information, more detailed information, and a complete walkthrough of weaponsmithing. Bear in mind, this is going to be completely mirrored, literally more or less, for Artificing and Huntsman, because they use the exact same setup. The only difference obviously is going to be runes and sigils will use different materials, and you'll have to basically have a look at your fragments and your slivers to see when they can be used for Huntsman or Artificer. And you also have potions for Artificer. I don't think you can use sigils in Artificer. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, you obviously can. So bear that in mind. But you can also use potions in Artificer, which are a really, really, really quick and efficient way of leveling, which is really good in itself. So that was weaponsmithing from 0 to 400. I hope that basically got rid of any qualms, queries that you had. If you do have any left, please do leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, folks. Good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.